All right, are we good? Are we live? I think we are. Hello all and welcome back to the Women's Football Chat Live. We're back for more FIFA Women's Super Cup Champions Cup action. I'll get there eventually as Arsenal take on Asfar this evening. Earlier today we watched Gotham take on Corinthians and we saw a big surprise as the Brazilian side knocked out the NWCL team. That showed, Harry, that anyone can beat anyone in this competition. But it does seem a big stretch today. They're up against it today as they take on Arsenal.
Yeah, it's going to be a big stretch for the Moroccan side, but who knows? As you say, we've already seen some shocks in this inaugural Women's Champions Cup, and I think this will be a good game and an opportunity for Aliou's side to prove their quality. I liked what he said in his press conference, Mohamed Aliou, that his side are going to turn up here and enjoy it. They're going to enjoy the occasion, try and play their football, try and represent themselves and their country and continent, in a respectable fashion. But they're going to come and enjoy their stuff, which I think is the best way to look at this game. Take the pressure off. Don't expect to turn up and beat the European champions, and just have a really good 90 minutes. And I fully respect him for that, but I think that we're being realistic. Arsenal, the quality side here, yes, they haven't had some brilliant games this season, but they're a top quality side. They're much the better team, and it should be a nice victory for them. But who knows? As you say, we've already seen one shock. Maybe we could see another, but I would be quite surprised if Asfar were to get anything from this match.
I think I said that verbatim in the earlier stream today. The quality's there for Arsenal, but there's a lot to be said for spirit. This is a competition that, yes, this is probably Arsenal's best chance of silverware this season, but it's a competition which ultimately doesn't mean that much for Arsenal. The prize money is really important, of course. It would help Arsenal be able to justify the spending of Olivia Smith. I mean, it pretty much covers everything they've bought so far this season and a little bit more. So, yeah, the prize money's massive, but overall, this isn't the competition that Arsenal view as prestigious. But for Asfar, this is an opportunity for them to announce themselves on the world stage. And a team who've been so dominant in CAF competitions, a team that have been so dominant domestically. Fantastic history of Asfar Rabat. They were a military side, the first team in Morocco to set up a women's team. They then went on to be the first professional club in the early 2010s. And now they're a side who absolutely dominate domestically. This is their opportunity to show what they've been building, to show the talent they've accumulated, to show the squad that they've been building up over time, and now compete on the world stage. This is why we're so excited to see these kind of competitions. Because, we love European matchups, we love WSL football, but we very rarely get to see these opportunities where these teams play. In fact, we never get to see them play competitively. So competitions like this are really interesting for that reason. We get to see a clash of styles. We get to see a clash of cultures. As we saw earlier, we saw this vibrant support for the Brazilian side Corinthians at the GTEC Community Stadium. That's such a different world, but it was incredible to see, and hopefully we see that similar support now from Asfar Rabat supporting their side, coming into London, taking on Arsenal. And, even if they don't get the result tonight, they've done themselves really proud by just getting here. There's still a financial incentive to play in this semi-final and to play in the third place playoff on Sunday. So they've done incredibly well to get to this stage. This is a great opportunity now for the players, for the manager, for the team to show off.
Yeah, exactly that. As you say, it's a wonderful chance. I think that they've already done well to get through the qualifiers, taking on the Asian champions, and I think that they'll look to kick on. They've earned their place here. As I say, going through the qualifiers is a bit more difficult than just winning your continental. Your continental cup. So they did very, very well to do both those things, and I think that they will relish the chance to show off on the international stage and play their football. We know a few of these players have looked really strong on the international stage with Morocco, reaching that AFCON final, and they'll be hoping that they can take that into this domestic, not domestic fixture, but this club fixture, that they can, and now they can represent their club on the international stage. So yeah, massive opportunity for Asfar tonight. Arsenal, they're very, very strong, but they shouldn't take Asfar for granted, because they're going to turn up, and if anything, they're going to give it 110% until that final whistle goes.
Absolutely. And if they can be defensively solid today, I said the same about Corinthians earlier, and they applied exactly what I said. They were so defensively excellent. They were narrow, they were compact, and they put Gotham in a tough spot. And ultimately, yeah, Gotham just didn't look sharp at all, which adds up. They're in pre-season. But the Corinthians nailed that game plan. If Asfar can do the same, if they can play a low block, there's every chance Arsenal struggle to break that down, and they can see the dividends because of that. Let's take a look then at the lineups. We'll start with the Arsenal team. It's a 4-2-3-1 for Arsenal today. In goal, Borba keeps her spot in the side as Van Domstar continues to return from injury. In the back line then, Holmberg in to start with Wubenboy and Cadena the centre halves, and Taylor Hines starts at left back. In the pivot, it's going to be Palova alongside Mariona Caldente, and Frida Marnham slightly higher in the 10. On one wing, it's Beth Mead, on the other, Olivia Smith, and leading the line, Stina Blackstenius. It's a rotated side for Arsenal in areas. Does it still feel too strong a side, or does it just show they're respecting their opponent?
Yeah, I think it's okay. As you say, it's still a strong side, but at the end of the day, this is a semi-final, and as you say, Asfar aren't just going to turn up and roll over. They're going to fight, even with the quality imbalance. But yeah, I understand it from Slagers. You don't want to fully rotate. We know that she's never really been a fan of massive rotations, so just a few tweaks in there make sense, and I think that Slagers has done well to give the big players a rest. No Russo for the first time in a very long time. Emily Fox has been ever present for the majority, under Slagers really. Same with Catley, same with McCabe. So to just give all those players a bit of a rest, or to have 90 minutes where they don't feature, will be a big boost to them. I'm sure we'll probably see more of the starters on Sunday if Arsenal are to reach the final. But yeah, I think it's nicely balanced. It's still a good quality and respect, and it's a respectable lineup, but it's also managed to just take out some of those key players.
And I think if it is comfortable, we could see someone like Sophie Harwood. We could see Cooney Cross get some minutes to just get back in the side. She's amongst substitutes today. We could see Chloe Kelly introduced. She makes the bench as well as she looks to rebuild her fitness. So we could see a few players like that brought into the team, given those opportunities. And we could see Arsenal just rebuilding that match fitness ahead of what is a really tough schedule. They come out of this weekend and straight into the Manchester City game. And then they've got two weeks of Wednesday, Saturday match days with those Champions League fixtures as well. So it's a really tough schedule for Arsenal at the moment. They've done really well to claim 4 points from the United game and the Chelsea game. That's been a strong run, but it doesn't stop, and they've still got a very intense schedule as well as some really tricky ties in there. Let's take a look then at the side for Asfar Rabat. It looks like a 4-4-2 to start. In goal it's Ramici, a back line of El Haj, Radouani, Saeed and Boukami. Across the four then Masoudi, Erudani, Rabah and Benzina, and a front two of Tagnaout and Lamari. So who are the players there to watch out for Asfar tonight?
Well, I think first of all, again, I mentioned that after the WAFCON run for Morocco, Masoudi is one of those who got the goal in the final, and again is a very tidy player out on that right hand side, and I think that has got to be the spark. And that's the thing for Morocco, for Asfar tonight, is they need sparks, and they can rely on those players who do feature for Morocco week in week, all the international tournaments to kind of carry them with a little bit more experience of playing in these kind of matches. But they'll give it a good go. I think they've got to try and, when they can, take the game to Arsenal. That's going to be the biggest point, is who are those outlets going to be when they can turn the ball over and try and play their own football. They're going to be under a lot of pressure, but can they pick their moments wisely to try and hit the Gunners on the break? That will be the big question.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's what we observed earlier was Gotham had all of the possession. I think they had about 74% of the ball throughout the game, but they just couldn't break that Corinthians back line down. They couldn't penetrate. They couldn't get those big opportunities. And what we know about Arsenal this season is that's been particularly prevalent for them as well. They've struggled when they face low blocks to break them down. They've struggled to create space in behind. If they can draw Asfar in on the press and maybe make space for Blackstenius in behind, that's where they can threaten. But I don't see Asfar about being a side who want to go and chase the ball down. I think if they play the way Corinthians did, which was just sit off slightly and then look to engage more aggressively in the press once you're into your own third, that I think would pay dividends for them. So I don't think we'll see them be, try and overplay their means. I think that they will go into this game, rather modestly, accepting the fact they're going to be the second best side. But if they can withstand the Arsenal pressure and then look to counter-attack effectively, that's where they can hurt Arsenal tonight. And I think that they will be motivated by what they saw earlier, where Corinthians were able to create that opportunity to score. And, I think Asfar Rabat will believe that they can genuinely get something from this game. Arsenal are still clear favourites. Arsenal's squad, is far superior to AS FAR Rabat's in every sense of the word. It costs a hell of a lot more. They're on a hell of a lot more money, and their players have so much more pedigree in the game and are of talent superior to that of their opposing players. But team spirit matters a lot. This Arsenal team have done incredibly well at times over the last year, but there are games that they've really struggled. This isn't a competition that's going to be top of their priority list. I'm sure the financial incentive will mean a lot to the board, but how does that translate over to the players? It's always difficult to know. So there's every chance they're not as up for this. And if AS FAR Rabat can bridge the quality gap with desire and with effort, that can make a real difference. So I hope we see AS FAR Rabat give them a really good game tonight.
Yeah, as you say, I think it's possible. It's going to take a lot, and I think that Arsenal, the feel will be that even Arsenal playing at 70, 80% will probably still have enough to edge this game out. But yeah, I think that if AS FAR can avoid making individual mistakes, avoid handing it, make Arsenal work for it. That's got to be the goal today. And if Arsenal do that, you can walk off the pitch and say, fair enough, we lost to the better team. That's fine. But it will be interesting to see how it plays out. They've got to put up a good fight and at least make it through those 5-10 minute intervals. Make sure you try and keep it tight early stages, and as I said, make Arsenal work for it and try and keep the scoreline as respectable as possible.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, players taking to the field then to what is a modest support here at the G-Tech Community Stadium. I have to say, I'm a little surprised. I thought it would be packed out a little bit more. We saw it fairly modestly full earlier, but I thought the Arsenal fans would do a better job of filling it out. But still, good to see the attendance. I'm going to see people in attendance for this game. But players out onto the field, so let's get into predictions for tonight's game. We'll start with yourself, Harry. If you're watching along to the show, by the way, get involved in the live chat. Let us know your scoreline predictions. As always, they will start in the studio. What is your prediction for this game, Harry?
I'm going to say, I think Arsenal will win this game. I think they've just got too much quality for AS FAR to handle. I will say 4-0 to the Gunners. I don't think it will get ridiculously out of hand, but I do think it will be pretty comfortable for René Slager's side. I will say the goal scorers to be Olivia Smith and Beth Mead in the first half, and then I will go for goals from Stina Blackstenius, and I'll go Leia Cadena. It's a rare start for Alcea to get the fourth. 2 goals in the first half, 2 goals in the second, and a very nice victory for Arsenal to send them through to the final.
Fair enough. I'm going to say Arsenal 2, AS FAR Rabat 1, and I think it'll be after extra time. I think we'll see Rabat put in a really good defensive performance. I think we'll see Arsenal have the familiar inability to put the ball in the back of the net. Once we get into extra time and AS FAR Rabat really start to tire, Arsenal can bring on subs. That's when I think the game will really swing. And yeah, I think it's easy to underestimate AS FAR Rabat coming into this game, but I think there's a lot to be said for the fact that it is difficult to understand how they're going to play today. It's difficult to know where their threats are going to be. And I think that can hurt Arsenal. We saw Slagers talking in the press conference about how do you assess a team that is very difficult to watch, it's very difficult to analyse, there's very little statistical data. It's very difficult. So I think they can utilise that fact. They can expose that perhaps blind spot in Arsenal's understanding. And I think they will get a goal tonight. I think Arsenal will open the scoring. And that will be I think if Arsenal open the scoring, they'll probably see it off. I think AS FAR Rabat will open the scoring. I think it will be a breakaway goal for Lamari. I will say Arsenal then to level up from the penalty spot through Mariona Caldente. I think they'll then get that goal in extra time through Alessia Russo. I think I've got belief AS FAR Rabat will give them a really good game today. Nigel saying 3-0 Arsenal. I think Arsenal 2-0. Maybe 3-0 and then I'll go 3-0. So really going through it there, Nigel. A few different predictions. Phil says, I'm going for a big win. Mead, hat-trick and Holmberg on the score sheet. And Suhami says, AS FAR 3, Arsenal 1. That's the kind of prediction we love to see. 236 votes in the poll in chat. 67% Arsenal, 33% backing AS FAR Rabat, backing the upset. Let's see if they can pull it off. Let's see if they can make their country proud. They're in a position now where they get the opportunity to take on the European champions. And, who's to say they couldn't pull off a massive upset?
Exactly, yeah. It's a massive opportunity for them. It won't come around, there's not as much they've dominated the African scene. I think that these opportunities won't come around very often, so they've got to try and make it count while they're here and enjoy the moment, play their football, and just look to see what they can do and really represent the league and the continent well.
Well, it's a nice chance to sort of acclimatise before the Club World Cup next year, where, of course, As Far Rabat will be involved. If that is to go ahead, still obviously discussions about how that will go ahead. But if it is to happen next year, As Far Rabat will be there, obviously having already qualified through being winners of the CAF Champions League. So, yeah, this is a nice precursor to the main tournament next year. And if they could pull off a huge upset here tonight, well, that would be one for the ages. Kevin saying 4-4, love the prediction. Kevin, and then, Nigel saying, now I want to swap back to 2-0. Stick with one prediction, Nigel. But it is Arsenal to get us underway here tonight. Stina Blacksenius from the middle, waiting for the referee's whistle to get us started here at the GTEC Community Stadium. It is the FIFA Women's Champions Cup semi-finals, a place in the final on Sunday against Corinthians at stake. Blacksenius from the middle knocks it back and are underway in this game as Arsenal take on As Far Rabat. And Arsenal with an attacking intent from the off here. Pass out to the left-hand side from Marnham, but Olivia Smith unable to stay on her feet there.
Yeah, not ideal. But Arsenal already, they know they need to start fast and put As Far under pressure, cause them as many issues as possible and get them to crack as early as they can. They don't want to allow this game to remain close, because the longer it stays 0-0, the longer it's As Far still in the game, the harder they're going to fight.
Yeah, great pressure there from Tagnau, forcing that ball back to Borba. And Arsenal now will look to build out from the back. So it does look like it's a single striker tonight of Tagnau. And then they're building, well, it looks like a 5-back from the off hit from As Far Rabat, which is understandable. Good challenge in the midfield there from Rabat to win back possession. Ball played in behind. And Lamari's going to get pressed here, but it's going to run through to Borba. Here is Wuben Moy looking out to the right-hand side. Holmberg holding the width, but that pass isn't on. Palova drops in to receive. Back to Wuben Moy. And now Kadina. Plays it back into Borba. Wuben Moy tagging it out quick to engage. Here's Beth Mead, and she's dispossessed. And it will bounce back to Wuben Moy. And now Palova, who turns out of trouble well. Palova now spreads the play to the left-hand side. Here's Taylor Hines. And she shifts it into Mariona Caldente, who's going to look to progress the ball. It's blocked well by Benzini, but it falls back through into Olivia Smith. Switch the play, though, is over-ambitious. Tries to play that too quickly, and it bounces out for a goal kick.
Yeah, fast start from Arsenal, as you'd expect, but I think As Far are also showing a bit of intensity. If anything, Arsenal just need to slow it down a little bit and calm down a little bit. If this game becomes a bit of a frenzy and a bit chaotic, that is going to suit the travelling side more than it will Arsenal.
I was wrong, by the way, about them not pressing aggressively as well. They're going to play their style here, As Far Rabat. They're not afraid to come out and play their stuff, and they're building out from the back now. Saeed tries to go down the left-hand side. That's kept in well. Oh, apparently not in the eyes of the referee. And so that will be a throw-in on this near side. Holmberg goes back to Wuben Moy. Now Holmberg. Great pressure there from Lamari, and that goes off for another throw. Which Holmberg will survey her options a little more carefully this time, and that's dispossessed by Saeed. Well, hold on to there by Lamari. And now plays back into Bukami. Looking to progress, tagging it out. Lamari, nowhere to go. Holmberg wins the ball back, but great pressure in there from one of the forward players, Masoudi. I think this has been given as an Arsenal free kick. A little bit too aggressive there, Masoudi in the press. Here is Wuben Moy. Padina, now into Himes. Plays inside to Victoria Palova. Can she find the pass to break down the As Far structure? Well, that's a poor pass backwards, which Wuben Moy will have to give press to, and that allows As Far just to get up the pitch a little more. Wuben Moy, wanting to be direct, finds Caldente, bounces it back to Palova. And now Taylor Hines can carry this ball on the left-hand side. Into Olivia Smith. What can she make happen here? That's a poor pass. And it is easy there for As Far to play out. A great drive forwards as their player is brought down, El Hadj.
Yeah, this is exactly how Asfar needed to start this game. To make things difficult for Arsenal. Don't allow them to settle and just make it a little bit scrappy.
Loving the few predictions we've got for Asfar winning. User PK saying Asfar 2, Arsenal 1. Mina going Asfar 1, Arsenal 0. Lamari drops in. El Hadj is dispossessed, but Smith gifting possession back to the opposition. Erudani on hand to overturn the ball. A pass inside there will drift Tagna out, who's going to look to play to the left-hand side, and there is space here if they can utilise it. Nice overlapping run there. Redouani goes inside, looks to switch the play, and ends up giving it away to Taylor Hines. Here's Mariona Caldente. Can drive this ball forward. And good there from Rava just to intervene at the right moment. A pass backwards to the goalkeeper there. And Blackstone's put a bit of pressure on it, but they can play out okay. Benzina. A pass inside. Nice round the corner from Lamari. Carrying it forwards now as far about Lamari again. Knocks it back. Here is Rava. Out to the left-hand side. Tagged out. Wants to drive it forwards into Msudi. Great stuff from Masudi there. Now tagged out again. Shifts it back into Erudani, the midfielder. And now here's Rava. Manages a 1-2 in there. Tagna out. Playing on the left wing this evening. Lovely skill to beat Beth Mead and Erudani now. This is nice football from Asfar Rabat. Bukhani. Benzina. Up to the right-hand side. El Hadj down the line. And that's an offside call. They're up against Lamari. Just dropped in to receive the ball and was flagged offside.
Yeah, bit unlucky there. Just didn't really realise where she was. But as you say, good start from Asfar, getting the ball down, playing their own football, looking to dictate the tempo. You know, we know Arsenal are a side that want to get the ball down and play their football. But if the Moroccan side are going to be the ones with getting the ball down, then it's going to make it difficult for the Gunners to settle.
There's a pace about their play. There's a precision. I mean, we saw both sides earlier try and string together combinations, and they look rusty. This looks like a side who are really well drilled on what they want to do. Here's Benzina. Plays it forward. That's a little loose in there from Eridani, and this will give an opportunity now for Frida Marnham to carry it forwards. Decides to go backwards into Wuben Moy. Kadina. Wuben Moy. Down the line into Beth Mead. She'll look to drive inside. Plays it to Palova now. Into Marnham. Palova. Now Caldente. Feeds it through the lines. Backside makes the run off the shoulder. Good defending in there, though. They managed to recover well. I think it was Lamari doing some defensive work. Or Saeed, sorry, the centre-half, I think, actually. Similar numbers. Managed to get back in there and make an important challenge. And so a corner now for Arsenal. And they cut to Alessia Russo on the subs bench. I think this is the first game she's been benched for Arsenal for a very long time.
Yeah.
Corner now, and the referee going to have a chat about players pushing and pulling each other in the box. And so it's Beth Mead over this. What can she create from this corner? Ball in towards the back post. Kadina heads across the face of goal. A chance hooked off the line. Incredible stuff from Saeed. And it's been given as a goal, and Arsenal take the lead in this game. We weren't sure immediately, but Arsenal do have the breakthrough. Initially, we thought that had been clawed off the line, but Arsenal lead in this game. It's Arsenal 1. Asfar Rabat 0. And it just gets over the line from Stina Blackstenius. Kadina heads across goal. Blackstenius heads it towards goal. And it is just, I think, by a pixel over the line. That is incredibly close. But not quite able to prevent the goal there, Rabat. And it just comes from Kadina at the back post. Managed to get above everyone else. Head across goal. And Arsenal find the lead.
Yeah, kryptonite is corners in these kind of games. And Kadina manages to rise highest unmarked. And then Blackstenius does well to head it goalwards. Goalkeeper comes flying out and gets nowhere near it. And it's unfortunate, but it did cross the line. And that's an unlucky start for Asfar, who started well. But Arsenal taking full advantage from the set piece. Not usually their forte, Arsenal on corners, but scoring from one in this semi-final.
Well, they've got the advantage of height tonight, which they often don't have in domestic competition. And that early breakthrough should see Arsenal go on to dominate now. Mead slipping it in behind, cut out by Rabah. And in a pass forward there, and caught in the challenge was Lamari. Not a nice one there, but we'll be okay to continue. Just got caught.
Yeah, important few moments now for Asfar, who just need to get back to what they're doing before the goal went in. They've started this game pretty well, and they'll be disappointed to be trailing, but they can't allow themselves to just to be played off the park now. Got to keep playing their football and doing their stuff, and still make Arsenal to work for it.
Absolutely, ball on the right hand side. Marnham will keep it in touch just about here. Stina Blackstenius now, and a good challenge in there from Rabah to break up the attack. Here's Tagnout out towards the left hand side. Tagnout still trying to take players on. Mead wins it back. Holmberg into Palova, one back by Rabah, and she sends it forwards. Holmberg throws it down to Wubben-Moy. Now Holmberg back to Wubben-Moy, and inside to Victoria Palova. And she now shifts it to the left-hand side. Taylor Hines. Forwards into Mariona Caldente. Here's Lea Cadena. Caldente again, and she's dispossessed in there. And it's been given as a foul. I think that's very kind. But the player won the ball back, then committed to ground to make it to move it. Almost to play the pass, end up catching Caldente slightly. Lamari, one back in there by Taylor Hines, who will be forced inside. Caldente, great pressure in there from Msudi. And that one more of a foul than the last. An advantage is played. Here's Wubben-Moy. Spreads it wide. Holmberg across the face of goal at the back post. Smith chests it down. Now Blackstenius, and it's there. And inside 11 minutes, Arsenal have a second in this game. It's Frida Marnham, who lashes home that goal. And it's Arsenal 2, Asfarabat 0. And they are taking the lead, really. Commanding in this game. An early goal. And that just seems to have knocked the belief of Asfarabat.
Yeah, perfect start for Arsenal. Again, nice football. Shift it from left to right. It's a good ball in from Holmberg. And Arsenal do well with it at the back post. Smith chests it down nicely, and Marnham given too much time really to swivel and shoot. Very nice finish though into the far corner. But Asfar sinking without a trace in this game, and Arsenal already in complete control after just over 10 minutes.
I think it's just where you can see that physical mismatch. Arsenal know that by putting balls into the air, they can rely on their height, they can rely on their physicality. And that is how they found routes to those first 2 goals as aerial deliveries. And well, they're coming forwards again now. That's cut out well by Rabah. Msudi unable to get anything on that. Here's Wubben-Moy, and that's cut out well. Does fall back, though, to the Arsenal centre-half. Now back to Borba. And Asfarabat will press high again. There's a one in there well. And it's into Tagno, who just tries to find Msudi, but it's just not quite crisp enough. And that mistake gives Arsenal possession once again. I knew I should have stuck with my 3-0 prediction. Now, this is where we see the Asfarabat comeback start to mount. Wubben-Moy playing it in behind. A run now off the shoulder for Stina Blackstenius. Fantastic tackle from Rabah. And that breaks down the attack. Really good stuff there from Asfarabat. Saeed playing it wide under pressure here. But working hard is Redouani. Tagno now comes to help her out. She goes back to Saeed. He will look to play it forwards. Cut out well by Mariona Caldente. And a good tackle in there. Wins back possession. Here come Asfarabat. Msudi out towards the right-hand side. Lamari now up against Taylor Hines. Hines wins the foot race. And she can give it back to Borba. Alakaborba playing that pass through the lines. Caldente to Mead. Back to Mariona Caldente. Marnham. Now it's with Smith. Hines. Into Olivia Smith. Lamari now working hard off the ball. Hines. Marnham. Back to Taylor Hines. Into Frida Marnham. Nice turn. Tries to play it through the lines. Cut out well. Right, Rabah. Here's Mead now. Great fake. Now tries to take aim. That's blocked. And Benzina gets in there. Now Holmberg. Can she take aim? It's blocked well. And that's Arsenal's first shot of the game that hasn't found the back of the net. Caldente. Trying to wriggle the room for the shot. Feeds it through. Mead is onside. The goalkeeper does well there. Coming off her line. Ramici. And deals with the ball.
Yeah, does well. Sharp off her line. Doesn't allow me to get there first, so what surely would have been 3. And again, needs to be a reaction from Asfar. Got to find a way to just kind of hold off.
Brilliant start from Msudi. He's going to break down the left-hand side. Wants to take on Wuban now. Does dart inside, and that looked like a foul from Palova. Referee sees no issue with it. Marnham tries to play it through to Caldente, whose pass is then intercepted. And now it's out wide to El Hadj, who's under pressure, and Smith wins it back. Great challenge, though, from El Hadj. And now out to the left-hand side. Here come Asfara back. Tagnu wants to drive inside. Holmberg tracks her well. Msudi now plays it wide. And unfortunately, the touch there, not good enough from Redouani to keep it in play.
Yeah, it's been a couple of those moments where they've put together a good combination and then it's broken down by a poor pass or a dodgy touch. But, there have been some really good passages from Asfar, and they are causing Arsenal some issues.
There's some incredibly talented players, I think, in that team. It's just defensively they lack that organisation. They're lacking physicality across the pitch, but their attackers are really decent players. I think Msudi looks decent. Tagnu has looked really good with the ball at her feet. We'll see now if they can add some end product to that, but it does just feel their defence will let them down, as we've already seen with the 2 goals. Here's Benzina. Out now to the right-hand side with Bukami. Ball in behind. Headed on well by Msudi. It's cleared away well, though, by Arsenal. And Benzina wins the initial contact. Out now to the left-hand side. Brought down well by Redouani. And with a weak foot, plays it forwards. Unable to pick out her teammate. And now Palova with a lot of space in midfield to operate in. Here's Taylor Hines. Looking for a forward pass. Bounces off Caldente as she inverts into midfield. Marnham now knocks it in behind, and that overhit again from Frida Marnham.
Yeah. Again, Arsenal also having some really good passages, but I think through ball's been a little bit overhit at times. But as far now, just need a spell of 5-10 minutes where they don't concede. Keep it at 2-0 for as long as you can now. Arsenal will just want to keep pushing on. You think one more... if you're Arsenal and you're in Vegas, you're thinking, right, get one more goal and then we've got complete control of this game.
Yeah, indeed. Rabat. Now Redouani. With Moy steps up well. Lamari competing for it. Caldente surrounded by 3 players there. Does really well to keep the ball. And Redouani dispossessed too easily in there. Sharon says, will you watch the final? I want to see Gotham Arsenal. Not going to happen now. Bit early to be asking about the final. Arsenal aren't there yet. But yeah, we'll be watching the final. I think Corinthians will give Arsenal a much stronger game than Asfara back can. And I mean, this game is far from over yet. But yeah, no, I'm definitely watching the final. Hines lifting it towards the back post. Holmberg shot across goal. And that's deflected wide. And Ramici with her first save of the game. And that's out for a corner.
Yeah, does want to deal with this. Ramici, it's a good ball in from Taylor Hines. Comes to Holmberg. And he takes a wicked deflection off Redouani. And the goalkeeper reads it well. I think VAR are going to have a look at that for handball. I think that looked like the arm. Potentially might get away with it.
I don't think we have VAR.
We do, yeah. And yeah, they are going to have a look.
Yeah. And as if Arsenal need any more of a helping hand in this game, we've got the helping hand of the Asfara at left back. And This will very much likely be an Arsenal penalty.
Yeah, I'm not. The referee will not take a long look at this at all. Holmberg's shot goes goalwards, and the arm. It's unnatural. The arm's out, and it stops the goal. It stops the ball. Yeah, it's definitely handball. Won't take long to look at all.
Yeah, unnatural position. It's not even close to being up the arm either. It's pretty much exactly the hand.
Yeah. Well read by Uramichi in goal. Read the deflection well and got a good hand to it. But unfortunately, it's cut off a fullback's arm. I mean, to be fair, this discussion is taking a lot longer than I thought it would. Because this looks cut and dry to me. But
are they arguing proximity?
Potentially.
Well, let's see what the referee says here. Well, we won't know what she says. We'll have to work out where she points. But the referee giving a decision, and it is a penalty for Arsenal. They've dictated the early stages here, and now they've got a chance to add a third before we hit the 20th minute mark, or as we cross the 20th minute mark. Redouani's arm up in an unnatural position. There's no way that wasn't a penalty. Not denying Smila Holmberg's effort. It could have led to a goal anyway, if not for Ramici. But, that was definitely a penalty. And now Mariona Candente, who's not been able to get involved in the goals enough this season from that deeper role, with an opportunity to add to her tally for the season.
Yeah, maybe Ramici can go home with something positive if she can save a Mariona Candente penalty.
Candente should walk off if she doesn't score the penalty. Mariona Candente then from the spot. Ramici between the sticks. Can she add another to Arsenal's advantage? Candente steps up and coolly dispatches off the penalty. Ramici gambled to the right-hand side of her goal and saw the ball fizz past her to the left. Arsenal 3, Asfarabat 0. A well-struck penalty by Mariona Candente. A very much justified penalty after it struck the hand of Redouani. And that sees Arsenal lead by 3-0.
Yeah, good penalty from Candente into the bottom corner. Sends the goalkeeper the wrong way. And Arsenal are cruising in this semi-final. And you feel already have a hand and a foot into the final. Yeah, it's a difficult one. As far we frustrated because I think they've played well in spells, but as you say, every time it's in the Asfar third, it all just falls apart.
Mainly in the box. They seem to be dealing okay with it in wide areas. It's just as soon as that ball gets into the penalty area, it's panicky. They don't have the physicality to match Arsenal, and it just leads to danger. And with that said, here comes another corner for the Gunners. And another chance to put an aerial assault on Asfarabat.
I'll tell you what, a side who have not scored many corners this season, maybe about to score. I mean, they scored 2 in one game.
Yeah. Beth Mead over this again then. Who can she pick out? Ball delivered in towards the middle of the area, headed towards goal, and this one blocked without the use of the arm this time. A great block on the line there, and I think it was El Hadj who got across to that one. And that's cleared well, and it was El Hadj on the line. Stina Vlaxenius headed it well towards the corner. El Hadj on hand to deal with it and managed to keep it in play and clear it away for an Arsenal throw.
Yeah, did very well with that. Read it well, made sure her arms were well out of the way, and stopped the ball going in the goal.
Here is Lotte Wubenmoy. Palova. Now Beth Mead. Plays it inside. Mariona Candente. Mead now. Back to Lotte Wubenmoy. Candente. Wubenmoy. Oof. And a chance now. Here's Msoudi. Does well. Goes for goal. Should have played that across to Lamari, who is in acres. And frustration there. You get why Msoudi just wanted to get that shot away. But there were better options available there.
Yeah. Big mistake from Wubenmoy. Passed it straight to the Asfar forward.
That's the 3rd or 4th time now Wubenmoy has given away the possession in quite an easy area.
Yeah. getting away with it, especially in that scenario. That was the most obvious of the lot and the most dangerous area, but goes unpunished.
Hines back inside to Maliona Caldente, who lets that run through her legs, and that gets her out of trouble well. Pullover. Now Frida Marnham, who can carry this ball forwards. Tag now, just able to keep up with her. Hines. And the referee giving advantage there. I'm not sure what for. Pullover. Drills it to the right-hand side. With Moy. Touched on to Mead. Skips inside past Lamari. And he does well to win it back in the aftermath from Sudi. Can't hold on to it. And Kadina goes to Ruben Moy. Now Caldente, who's pulled wide right. Blackstenius, who holds the ball up well. Back to Mariona Caldente. Now Beth Mead drives it forwards. Out to the left-hand side. Smith. Can she create a shot on goal? Cuts inside. Takes aim. Deflects off the post. And oh my word, Stina Blackstenius. Point blank range. All of the goal to aim for. And she's put it over the bar from point blank range.
It's an absolute mess between her and Marnham, and I can only think that's what's put her off. She does the right thing by telling Marnham to leave it because Marnham was in offside position, but I think it's put her off. She's got it totally wrong. And from about 6 yards out, with the goalkeeper scrambling around, open goal, all Black Stairs has to do is tap it home, and she's lifted it over the bar.
Yeah, that was... you don't get many easier chances than that in football, do you? But Blackstenius unable there to hit the target. Not that it should have any impact on the result at this stage, but that should have been Arsenal's 4 for the game. Ball sent long. Caldente wins the header on a pose. Rabar wins the next. And good work from the fullback, Redumani. And now back with Annika Borba. With Moy inside to Mead. Flicked around the corner to Caldente. Mead, Caldente, back to Mead. Lovely 1-2 touch football. And it will be pulled back from a foul as Rudani catches the player. And the referee assertive in her refutation of Rudani's protest of innocence.
Yeah, it's a foul. I'm not really sure what the argument there is against that being a free kick. But yeah, no, foul. Good decision. Just caught Beth Mead late there.
Yeah, to be fair, I thought she got a bit of the ball. Here's Hines. Now Kadina. Plays inside to Caldente. Around the corner to Taylor Hines. And back inside to Mariona Caldente. Kadina. Nice to see Leia Kadina get a start. Someone who hasn't had a lot of minutes at Arsenal this season. Someone we widely expected to leave in this January transfer window. Ball in behind now to Stina Blackstenius. Bearing in on goal. Should score from here. Wide of the far post. And Stina Blackstenius, if she's going to get chances tonight, the question is whether she can take any more of them.
Yeah, another really good run in behind from Blackstenius. Looking to find the far corner and just didn't quite catch it right. Good goalkeeping as well to close the angle. It's a great run. Lovely ball from Ruben Moy over the top. Blackstenius wins the foot race. And yeah, just puts it just past the far post. Not a bad effort, but probably should have found the goal from there. And ended up injuring herself in the process. Oh, yeah, her ankle just turned after shooting the right ankle there. But she looks to be all right.
Yeah, seems to be okay to continue on. So, Maxenius, nothing serious in the aftermath there. Rabar sends it forward and Sudi holds it up well. And back now to Lamari. And here's Rabar. Plays it wide. And Rudani plays it to Msudi. And now Lamari into tag now. Back to Lamari. And Ruben Moy there steps in well and manages to get a throw in out of it as well. Lamari not happy with that one. That's a bit of a difficult one there where Ruben Moy's just sort of jumped into it and they've both gone off the pitch together. But I think that's probably just about the right call. Here's Ruben Moy. Mead picked off well, but Ruben Moy makes a challenge to recover possession. Palova dispossessed in there. Now tagged out, tries to shift it. Falls back into midfield. Tagna out, holds on to it well. Brilliant stuff there from the forward. Msudi makes the run in behind. She tries to find her with the ball, and well, it looked like a fair push there from Taylor Hines in the box.
Aggressive, but
Msudi, I think, was looking for that contact more than she was challenging in the air.
Yeah.
Smith tries to play it in behind, blocked well by Benzina. And the ball in behind, looking for Msudi. And Kadena, hands all over her there. Msudi gets off out of her grasp. Chops inside. Now Lamari. Back to Msudi. Looks to play it across. And, well, that could have been a red card if Msudi went down there, because that was quite a blatant foul from Kadena. Ball into the box. Redouani. Headed away by Leah Kadena. Kept alive now. Tagna Oots will take aim from range. And that just with a slight bit too much on it. But as far in attacking areas are giving Arsenal something to think about.
Yeah, as you say, it's linking up very nicely between the front line. But they're doing well, not a bad effort. And I have to say, watching that Hines push back, I think she's quite fortunate. That is two hands in the back. And as you say, I know Msudi was looking for it, but yeah, that was quite aggressive from Hines. Oh, definitely on the line. Probably got away with one. But yeah, as far, when they get the ball forwards, it looks pretty sharp. But they just, they're coming forwards again here, but they can't just seem to get the work. That's not a bad effort. Well blocked though by Kadena and out for a corner. Last couple minutes though, really good reaction from the Moroccan side. They're fighting hard in this game. The press has been good. They've turned it over quite a few times, and as I say, now they want themselves a corner, and can they try and threaten from here?
Well, they take it short. Ball on top of Annika Borba, who claims that well, and that will have to go as a shot on target. And, well, it made Borba work to save it. Here's Hines. Pass inside now to Mariona Caldente. Ball slipped in behind. Raxenis gives chase. Quick off her line, though. Is Ramici. And she's able to knock it out of play. And Holmberg now with the throw-in, looking for her options. Tries to go direct into Blackstenius. Raval, though, does a brilliant defensive job there, just holding up Blackstenius, and that ball runs out of play.
Yeah, again, does well, uses the strength, and just does what, just holds the ball. Shields it, lets it run out. But, as I say, it's been a good reaction from as far Arsenal. It's expected. Arsenal are 3-0 up now. Of course, they're going to take their foot off the gas. They'll want to keep the clean sheet intact and try and score as many as possible, but also they know there's no need to go at 110% now because of the lead they've already built up.
Indeed. Throw in on the far side. And it's brought down well by Tagnout. Hines under pressure. And Sudi battling for the ball, and that goes for an Asfar throw. Ball down the line into Msudi. Kadena loses possession. Palova bailing her out well. And now Hines. Here is Marnham. Spreads to the right-hand side. Holmberg lets it run to Mead. Back now to Wuvamoy. And that's a great challenge as the ball goes out towards the left, to the right-hand side. Erudani pounces on it. Knocks it out of play. Here is Wuvamoy. Into Kadena. And now Hines. Palova. Wants to spread the play to the right-hand side. Can Holmberg get there? Redouani does well initially. Throw in now, though, for Arsenal. And Holmberg sends it back. I think Redouani there learning from what Taylor Hines did a moment ago, preventing the throw coming on. Msudi into Lamari. Manages to beat Beth Mead again. Pass inside to Msudi. And brilliant pressure there from Marnham to turn over the ball. Caldente. Kadena. Hines, that's cut out well. Tagnut, flicked on by Msudi. Marnham. Overlapping run now of Olivia Smith. El Hadj narrows the angle and knocks it out of play.
Yeah, it's been a good spell. Good spell from Asfar. How long? It's been, what, 5-10 minutes since that Carante penalty went in?
Yeah.
They've had a couple of shots themselves.
Well, Carante's penalty is 21 minutes, so it's been almost a quarter of an hour now where, yeah, Arsenal have definitely, turned the pace of the game down a notch, but we have seen them come forwards quite well. I think it's very telling that even a game where their attack looks so confident, their centre-half partnerships still have looked fairly shaky. And yeah, I think Asfar have got good forward players, but still, I think it is quite telling of their centre-half quality at the moment when they rotate. Tagnout in midfield now with Eridani. Slips over, trying to flay that fall in behind to Lamari, and Msudi caught there in the aftermath there by Holmberg. Pelova trying to lift it in behind. And El Hadj will get there. Pass out now to Ravar. Lamari. Eridani. Out wide now into Redouani. Ravar. It's back to El Hadj. Benzina. Slips it into Tagnout. Benzina. Let that run. Oh no, she would actually go and collect it. Thought she might let that run to Uramichi. Does now go back to Uramichi. And now out to the left-hand side as they'll carry the ball forwards. Lovely give and go down the left-hand side. Mead able to get back in. Msudi recovers possession. Erudani. Ravar. Msudi again. Sit back. Into Erudani. Now slips it in behind. And the run forwards from Redouani. Not coming to much, but she will put pressure on Borba. Now Kadina. And Pelova carrying it forwards. Knocks it to Wuhan Moy. Kadina. Into Mariona Caldente. Wide again to Wuhan Moy. Now Beth Mead. Back to Wuhan Moy. Arsenal in control then as it stands. They'd be into that final on Sunday. Reminder to join us live on Sunday. We've got a WSL double header in the morning as Liverpool take on Manchester United. Chelsea face Man City as well. Now we live for the FIFA Champions Cup final. As it stands, Arsenal will take on Corinthians. Kadina there committing another foul, and Msudi had got away from her. And Kadina bringing her down. Referee just telling her to calm down.
Yeah, bit of a late one. Again, she got caught in possession, lost the ball.
I'm a little surprised it's not a card.
Yeah, potentially.
That's just stamping on her back, stamping on her coming back. Msudi driving towards goal. I think there would have been justice for a yellow card there. Free kick though for Asfar about. What can they make happen here? Benzina getting up there in the area. El Hadj out to the right-hand side. Tagnout. Ball into the area, headed away by Kadina. It's going to drop now. And the shot from range is saved well by Borba Bukami there, testing her luck. But Annika Borba saw it all the way. Kadina. Now Mariona Caldente. Hines. It's very unlikely we're going to see Asfar about turn this around. But what I will say is that a goal or a moment could really change, one of these players' career. Because I'm already, Msudi's looked really decent leading the line, actually surrounded by, better supporting players. I think probably would have scored by now.
Yeah.
Lamari doesn't look too bad. Tagnout's a really technically gifted player. Benzina out wide into Tagnut. He's going to look to drill one in behind, and, well, that would have been quite something if Lamari had got there. And it'll run through to the goalkeeper. Here is Taylor Hines. Exchanges with Caldentea. Pass inside. Blackstenius drops to receive it. Rubenboy. Now spreads it wide. Here's Holmberg. Wants to take on Redouani. Really good defending there from the fullback. And as we approach half time now, it's 20 minutes that Asfarabat have managed to keep Arsenal quiet. But Arsenal with another corner now, and we know that has been to the undoing of Asfarabat so far this match.
Yeah, aerially is where Arsenal have really had their joy. Asfar got to deal with this well, make first contact with it. And don't let this good spell be ruined by conceding from another set piece.
Mead delivers it in there, and that's headed away. And then hooked away well. I think we'll put pressure on Hines, and Hines bring it down with a hand. Referee oblivious to it. Tagnut knocks it out of play. I think we can see the frustration starting to set in a bit for Asfarabat because they've not given too bad account of themselves. But in a couple decisions now where, I mean, Taylor's just thrown it to Msoudi, who's then given it back to Olivia Smith, exchanging mistakes. Smith cuts inside, chance now, drilled home with the near post. And that was close to Eremici, but she couldn't get down to it. And that's a gift of a goal, but Olivia Smith drives inside dangerously and takes it well. Arsenal 4, Asfarabat 0.
Yeah, another unfortunate moment for Asfar. Taylor Hines throws it straight to her opponents, who just knock the ball into Olivia Smith, who does the rest. Is a really tidy run from Smith. Again, too easy just to play a give and go and drift past 3 or 4 players. The shot is driven well, but quite central. Eremici, I feel like she probably should have done better with it. But really good from Smith. And an important goal for her. Not been the season she would have hoped to. It's been a positive season for Smith, but not the season she might have hoped for, making the move across to Arsenal. But that is a well-taken effort, and Arsenal 4 up.
Yeah, and we're seeing the gulf between the two sides on full display, the gulf between the two leagues. Asfar dominant domestically, dominant continentally, but nowhere near the level required to take on Arsenal so far. Defence has just been all over the place.
Yeah, that'll be frustrating as well because they were only 4 minutes away from half time. The Kanto penalty went in the 21st minute. They made it a couple more minutes, so they had a good 25-minute spell. Got into half time at only 3-0 down, and it's a bit more better, and they got something to work. They can build off that 25-minute spell into the second half. But yeah, that goal kind of just is a big blow.
Tagnut switches the play. Touchdown now into Erudani, who gives it back to Ravar. Now a pass inside and a nice turn in there from Saeed. Out now to the left-hand side. Erudani holds the width well. Back into Ravar. And she's giving it straight to Stina Blackstenius. Now Frida Marnham. And Arsenal have the overload. Marnham's ball across the box. Benzina can't get enough on the header. Here's Smith. And Benzina goes out and deals with the threat. And a throw in now for Taylor Hines.
Yeah, another gift. Rabar playing the ball straight to the feet of Blackstenius, who gives it to Marnham. Thought Marnham got it wrong. Tried to cross it in and just lifted it over Stina Blackstenius. And then Arsenal couldn't make it work from there.
And lovely as we get to see the Kaniska sponsorship for this competition. A reminder, the ownership group who own London City Lionesses, OL Lyonnais and the Washington Spirit are sponsoring this FIFA competition. But don't worry, there is no corruption at FIFA. We were paid to say that.
Yes.
Thank you, Gianni. Throw-in on the far side. Benzina into Msudi. Smith does well to win back the ball. Blackstenius. Marnham tries to touch it on. Mead will work hard to get there. Redouani. And now Lamari being forced backwards. Flicks it forward, so they try and play out of this corner. Brilliant work from Lamari, nutmegging Holmberg. A pass inside now. He shifts it to Msudi, who was bundled down again there by Kadina. Marnham. Kadina into Palova. Out wide to Lotta Wubenmoy. Kadina. Now Hines. Now that's a great win there in midfield. And here come Asfar and Msudi. Tries to play it through and Hines able to intercept it. And they had Arsenal for the taking there. It's just the wrong decision from Msudi again. And it is cleared out of play for an Arsenal throw-in. Not asking how much they paid me to say that. Lloyd saying I should be the FIFA president. Yes, 3 minutes of additional time in this first half. I'll be great at FIFA president. Sort out all the problems.
That easily,
made. Well, I'll just take less bribes. I'm instantly doing a better job. Smith battling away with El Hadj. Not that Gianni Infantino has any bribes, though.
No.
No, FIFA's not corrupt. That's all.
They are a pure and fair organisation.
Yes. Thank you, FIFA, for sponsoring. The corner now for Arsenal. Otieno says, please record the 4th goal for Arsenal. It was Olivia Smith. Darted inside well. Struck it towards the near post. And Arsenal dominating so far against Asfar. Corner now for the Gunners. Mead in towards the area. Wubenmoy unmarked. Unable, though, to direct that goalwards.
Probably should have done better with the header there, Wubenmoy. It is always difficult when you're running from in front of the ball. You're running backwards and you've got to try and then redirect it from the direction in which you've come from towards the goal. Just skews it wide, but Asfar, they're very frustrated with their teammates for allowing Wubenmoy to be so alone in the penalty area.
Ball from Smith. Good hold up from Blackstenius. Turned over though, and Asfar will look to break away. And it's Tagnut carrying this ball forwards. A nice give and go with the wing back. Tagnut still going forwards. Carente stops it, and that will go for a corner. What can Asfar about do from this situation?
Yeah, it'd be nice to see them get a goal. They've had some good flurries forwards. They've had quite a few attempts, to be fair to them. You wouldn't think this, with the way the game's gone, the scoreline as it is, that they would have had the amount of shots that they have mustered up. But a corner is a good opportunity to try and get 1 goal on the score sheet.
Tagnut over this then. Ball into the penalty area. Not a bad delivery. Headed away by Wubenmoy though. Erudani. Into Tagnut. Who's going to lift it into Lamari. Who just lays it off. Erudani. And unable there to make anything happen, but it is a throw-in. That we'll see Asfar about retreat somewhat. Sleeve plays forward. They've got 15 seconds left of the half. So everyone in the box. See what happens.
Yeah.
At worst, you concede and it's 5-0. At best, you get a goal.
Yeah.
Corner now, though, for Asfar about. What can they do from this? With what will likely be the last action of the first half.
Yeah. Again, another good spell. They've reacted well to that 4th goal, and I think that's been, it's been the story of the game. But another corner. Can they try and at least get put an attempt towards Borba, make her work a little bit?
Ball in towards the front post. Hines heads it away. And that will be the end of the action for the first 45. A dominant display so far from Arsenal, who lead this game by 4 goals to 0. Right, so as for the opener, added quickly onto that was Freedom Arnhem's goal. A al dente penalty just after 20 minutes for a blatant handball in the area, made it 3. And Olivia Smith, with an individual goal, struck close to the keeper at the near post, but able to find the back of the net regardless. Capped off what is a 4-0 showing in that first 45. Arsenal dictating the game here, as far about have been decent in the final third, but nothing clicking enough for a goal yet, and defensively they've left a lot to be desired. So at the break, it's Arsenal 4, AS 0.
Yeah, perfect half for the Gunners, the European champions, taking advantage of errors, linking up well in the final third, and all round playing some very, very good football at times. They could have had a few more in there with some chances, but some decent saves and some good pieces of defending in amongst those poor errors and costly mistakes from Asfar. But as you say, they've looked pretty sharp when they've come forwards. They've had a couple of attempts on goal, a couple of shots on target, which will be encouraging. They'll fancy themselves to at least try and get one back on the score sheet. But overall, Arsenal in complete control. As expected, the quality has shone through in that first half, and you could really see the difference between the European champions and the African champions. But I think that the scoreline, I think as far we're frustrated with, because in spells they've represented themselves very well, and then there's been moments of madness at the back which have been punished by the power in the front line that Arsenal do possess. But all round, I think a pretty as expected 45 minutes.
Yeah, Dark James was asking how were the opponents determined for this tournament. I get Arsenal and Corinthians, but why Asfar? It is the winners of the Continental Cups, the Continental Trophies, so the UEFA Champions League, the CONCACAF Champions Cup, the CAF Champions League, and so on and so forth. The seeding worked that Gotham and Arsenal, as the winners of their respective titles, were seeded already into the semi-finals. Asfar and Corinthians both had to come through playoff games, I believe, against the AFC Champions Cup winners and I believe the Oceania Champions Cup winners. So those two, already came through playoffs to reach this level of the competition. But yeah, so these sides are also all qualified already for the Club World Cup that's coming up next year. I believe Asfar will have to come through playoffs, which will be difficult, as that will likely be against, I think, a European, or could be against a European side. Arsenal, though, have qualified automatically, as have Gotham. Not 100% sure on Corinthians. Again, the seeding for that is difficult to remember. But yeah, so I think it's a shame Asfar haven't been able to give a closer game. I think it shows that huge gulf at the moment between the best team in the African leagues, the best team in Morocco, dominates domestically, dominates on the continent, but coming here facing one of the better sides in Europe and has really, really struggled, especially defensively. I think the biggest gap, the biggest problem between the two sides has been the biggest problems have been, I think, physicality and the physical side of the game, that athleticism, that aerial dominance, that sort of stuff. But it's also been the tactical understanding, where Asfar look quite poor defensively, lots of gaps, lots of players jumping up, leaving space behind, and it's just giving Arsenal that opportunity really to thrive, and they've taken that with both hands and looked much better in this first half.
Yeah, as you say, you expect it. There have been moments of panicky and rush defending, but they're a side coming over to face the European champions. That's exactly what we'd expect to see. I think that they, although they've been able to match the pace and move it quickly and look sharp in the final third defensively, when Arsenal have moved that ball well, Asfar have just struggled to stick with them. And I think that, again, it's what we expect. You can't. They've given it a go, but as you say, you'd expect them you'd want them to look more regimented, defend as a unit, not be as rash when making decisions in their own third, and look a bit more like a well-oiled machine, and it just hasn't clicked like that defensively. Fair play to them, Mohamed Aliou, he's trying to bring his side over and play their football and play their way, and I respect that, because it shows that he believes in this team, and it shows that he's got, him and his side have got a bit about them, that they believe that they can come over and play their stuff against one of the best teams in Europe. It hasn't worked out, and it has left them quite open when they have been defending. But as you say, they've looked sharp when they've come forward. So I think it's one of those where I respect them for trying to play their football. It has left them very vulnerable defensively, but it has also meant that they've had some positive moments coming forward. So fair play to them. You can't take anything away from them. They haven't, you know, I think one got the first goal from a corner. One goal from the penalty spot, and one goal immediately after the corner, which was a bit of a knock on effect, and it all just comes together to be I don't think they haven't been bad at all. They've represented themselves well. I think the scoreline will be disappointing for them, but when you consider the goals and how they went in and where they came from, I think they'll be frustrated because they'll feel like they could have potentially prevented them a little bit.
Yeah, I think organisation at corners clearly not their strong point, as shown in this game, and the fact that Arsenal have players that are much taller and much stronger in the air. They just freeze too often in defence and just seem to let Arsenal react quicker to balls that are bouncing, balls that are dropping. I mean, there's Marnham goal, Freedom Marnham, a player who's hasn't had a great season, to be honest, but finds the time and the space here to swivel well and take aim. And they're just slow to react to things, this Asfar side, and that's been a big issue. It's harsh. The problem is we're just watching a side who are evidently not good enough to play against someone like Arsenal, and it's just it's difficult. It's one of those difficult to watch. As much as we want to see these sorts of games, we want to see the Club World Cup. When there's such a gulf between sides like Asfar and sides like Arsenal, it does make it not very enjoyable, I have to say. Obviously, with the Club World Cup, the fact that teams will have to get through playoffs to get to, or some teams have to get through the playoffs, should mean the Club World Cup will basically just be all the strongest teams.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's showing the absolute chasm that there is between some of the top sides on other continents and some of the top sides in more established leagues like in Europe and in the US. But this Smith goal, probably the nicest strike of the bunch. None of the goals have been particularly aesthetic, and this goal, this strike definitely would have been saved by a better goalkeeper. But take nothing away, really. The technique was decent, drilled it low and hard. And you don't have to overthink it in these kind of games.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's an important goal for Smith, who, as I say, has had some good moments this season, but has also had some difficult performances. But nice for her to get in on the act. This is exactly what Arsenal played this game well. They've brought in players, they're starting players who perhaps aren't in the best form or could do with a couple of goals or could do with a good performance, and they're taking advantage of the weaker opposition. Smith coming in, gets on the score sheet. Kadina comes in for her first start in a while and gets, will get to play the bulk of the minutes. And again, there's been, Black Stenius is another one who, has scored a goal, could have easily had a couple more, but has got one on the score sheet. That's good for her. But Marnham as well, I think, is another player who hasn't really contributed as well as I think she'd have liked to this season. So Arsenal taking advantage of the opposition and getting there's more rotation players and the out of form forwards on the score sheet. And as you say, Smith there with a nice strike. I think she would have liked to have had a bit of a better season, but maybe a good performance in this game is exactly what she needs to kick on.
Yeah, well, only 4 outfield ployers haven't got a contribution yet in this game, so I'm sure they can kick on and get contributions for them. They are Taylor Hines, Lotte Wuhan who has had a lot of space in the penalty area on corners, so you think eventually she will direct the header well. The movement's really strong, it's just the technique, and it has been skewing off rather wildly. Holmberg, who's looked positive, yet to get a contribution, and Beth Mead as well, yet to make a contribution. So they will try and tick those off, but I imagine some early subs will be in order. I imagine we'll see someone like a Sophie Harwood, and as I mentioned earlier, the reintroductions of Chloe Kelly, of Kyra Cooney-Cross, just building up that match fitness again.
Yeah, I hope Sagers gets this right. I don't want to see Alessia Russo subbed on.
That's the point. Russo, Nicole, McCabe, Catley, Fox. That's the 5 subs.
Exactly.
Bring on everyone who's already played.
There's no point doing that. It's the biggest frustration for me when managers don't start the key players just to bring them on for half an hour, and it's like, well, what was really the point in resting them? But I think that Sagers has got to take this opportunity to give those younger players and those out of form players a go. Alessia Russo adds nothing to this game. You don't need to bring her on. Same with Emily Fox. No need to bring her on. save them for the final, which I think we can all say they're probably going to be in on Sunday. And that, they've got some massive games coming up. They don't need to risk injuries or any other circumstance happening in 45 minutes where they're already 4-0 up.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a Serena Pigman special, isn't it? Just bringing on players when the game's already done and deciding, we need to see Lauren James for half an hour. But no, I hope we see some rotation for Arsenal. I'm surprised the bench isn't a little. There aren't any other youngsters on there that could have come on and get a chance. I know a lot of their younger players are out on loan. It's the kind of game where you thought maybe Layla Harbert would be involved. Obviously, she's now gone out on loan to Everton. That was announced today. So you'd expect to see potentially some. Sophie Harvard's the only youngster on the bench, but you'd expect to see her get an opportunity, and they'll look to rotate the side and bring back some of those players who have spent a bit of a period on the sidelines.
Yeah, it's what these kind of games are perfect for. Of course, it's a semi-final, but you're playing against weaker opposition. Despite the fact it's a semi-final, Arsenal will view this as more of a early round cup tie, like an FA Cup 3rd round, 4th round game where they're playing against weaker opposition, and they've got to take advantage of the fact they can use that rotation. I think they'll hope to get a couple goals. Of course, they're taking their foot off the gas a little bit as the half went on, and I think Asfar would have liked to make it to half time at only 3-0 down, that Smith goal just before the break. But Arsenal, they're taking their foot off the gas. I don't expect them to come out all guns blazing once again. They'd probably like to get a couple more, maybe reach 6, 7, but maybe even 8. But I think that it will be another steady half from Arsenal, but nothing incredible.
Did you add the maybe even 8 so you weren't doing the worst meme ever? Sorry, that's what I thought of when you said 6, 7.
Oh,
bringing that back.
I hate it.
I feel like that's been left in 2025. I haven't heard much of it in 2026.
I hope so.
I'm bringing it back in a big way.
No, don't even. I'm just going to avoid saying those numbers to cause any confusion.
7-6. It's like you have to say it now. But yeah, we should be getting back on the way for the second half. A quick self-promo. If you are new to the channel and haven't hit that subscribe button yet, make sure to do so. We're closing in on 7.5k subscribers. So we're only about 10 away now, 11 away. So make sure to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. And if you are enjoying the show, make sure to share it. We are not far away from this being our most viewed live stream ever. So if you want to get this ahead of last year's clash between Arsenal and OL Lyonnais and above last year's game of Chelsea-Barcelona, then share the live stream around and let's get the chat active for this second half as Arsenal look to see how many they can add to this tally. Or wait, maybe we'll see Asfar mount a comeback. How incredible that would be.
It'd be the greatest comeback in football history if Asfar was to turn this around and win it
5-4.
5-4. I don't know what would be better. I don't know if it'd be more impressive if they won it 5-4 or got it back to 4-4 and then won it on penalties. That might be even better.
Panenka last game as well.
But yeah, Arsenal, they'll look to get... I hope they get a goal. They've deserved a goal. They've looked pretty okay when they've come forward. So they've had like 4 or 5 shots. I hope they get a goal. They deserve a goal.
Yeah, no, I would look for data. Unfortunately, there is none. FIFA aren't providing any, and FotMob don't have any numbers for us, so we don't know data until after the game. But we've seen a few shots from Asfar. We'll have to count them ourselves, but we've seen a few shots. Hopefully, they can start to use that. For a bit of belief. Msudi, I think, has looked quite good. In the final third. I've been a fan of Tagno. I think she looks really good with the ball at her feet. The decision making, the end product isn't really there. A few deliveries into the box that have been fairly wayward, and that's probably why she only lasted a few months at Sevilla. She came for Asfar Rabat, years and years ago. Had that opportunity to move to Sevilla in 2024. Was only there from July to October before she returned to Asfar Rabat. So. Clearly a player is very technically gifted, but perhaps lacking of that little bit of end product. But Msudi has looked really dangerous. Sana Msudi, 26 years old, a staple of the Moroccan national team by this point. And yeah, I think we could see a goal in this game if they can break in behind. And Arsenal looking to make 2 subs. These are 2 players we have yet to see this season. It's Kim Little, who I think probably has their most minutes. I know because she was injured for a bit, so probably not. But has played a lot of minutes for Arsenal this season. We'll get 45 minutes here. And Caitlin Ford. I see the justification for Ford.
Yeah.
Good to get a player who has not got a single goal or assist this season onto the pitch in this kind of game.
Yeah.
Because if you can't get a goal and assist in the second half, then that is a problem.
And if Kim Little has come on for Calente here, I also understand that one a bit more.
Which, yeah, I think that is, which is positive. Getting Mariona Calante a deserved rest. As far coming out of the tunnel now as well. Are there any changes for the Moroccan side? It doesn't appear. I think there is one there potentially. A discussion with the FIFA officials.
But yeah, no, that I like those subs for Arsenal. They make sense. As you say, Caitlin Ford in desperate need of a goal and a good half. So hopefully in this 45 minutes she can put the game on. I'd like to think she's gone for Beth Mead. Mead's a player. Olivia Smith could do with a couple more goals and a couple more contributions, and Beth Mead could do with a bit of a rest.
Yes, no, absolutely. Especially since Smith obviously didn't have any involvement last weekend as she was suspended, and so yeah, you would think that they would rotate, and Rabar and Redouani there in a pretty heated arguments. They come out onto the field.
I was say, I'm not quite sure what they could be discussing on their way out of half time.
They're riling each other up.
Maybe.
To really go for it and say, no.
Potentially say. Maybe that's what they're doing. They're getting themselves in.
That's their way of motivating.
Potentially. Hopefully that'll work and see them, not concede as many as 4 as in this half.
That's what they need. But what can they do in the second half? We'll have to wait and see. But yeah, Lamari, another one. I don't think I mentioned her, but a player who is able to contribute. Bacani as well, and engaging in quite a heated discussion with Benzina.
You can sometimes see these debates between teammates happening as they go into half time, but it's so bizarre to see it coming out of half time.
Yeah, they've just had a chance to talk to the manager, calm down, and assess the game plan, and they're coming out angrier than they went in.
I don't know what.
Maybe that was part of the half-time team talk. Go and show a bit of bottle. And they're fighting their teammates. Suni knocks it back. We're back underway here at the GTEC Community Stadium. Arsenal leading by 4-0. Can they hold on to that advantage, or can Asfar give them something to think about in the second half, or will Arsenal inevitably extend that lead? Asfar on the ball. Lamari round the corner. And the ball down the line. And that a poor control on this near side. I think a change. I don't know if that's El Hadj playing a slightly different role. Marnham takes aim from range. That's blocked well by Rabar. Now Palova in behind to Caitlin Ford, who cuts it back to Marnham. And that a tame effort saved comfortably by Eremici.
Yeah, Asfar got to come out the block sharp, got to pick up where they left off towards the end of that first half, where they had that 20-minute spell where they managed to keep Arsenal at bay, didn't concede until Smith scored in the 41st minute. But yeah, they need to get back into that rhythm and ready and ready to go once again.
Indeed, one back well in there, and that will run through into Marnham. And there was a foul in there on one of the Asfar midfielders. And so now it will be a free kick in this deep area. Can Asfar back look to break Arsenal down? They'll go backwards into El Hadj. Now Benzina looks to play it in behind. Msoudi loses the aerial contest to Kadina. Tagnout can't get there. Here is Little. Holmberg. Moy. Holmberg will be forced backwards here by Tagnout. Pressing. Here's Alaka-Borba. Looking to play to the left-hand side. Kadina. Carries it forward. Hines goes back to Kadina. Again, surveys her options. Marnham, Palova. Plays it now into Taylor Hines. Options running in behind. Feeds it into the box. Blackstenius goes down. Was there a clip? Well, VAR will be all over it if there was. Referee, though, thinking Blackstenius may be trying to buy something there.
I'll be honest, I don't think the referee has seen this whatsoever. Definitely behind the ball, Blackstenius, and she did look to be pulled back.
Yeah, it looked like it was a hand, but it didn't look like enough for her to go down like that. And that's probably what the referee's seen. Marnham trying to feed it through the lines. No option. But that's a yellow card, no. Flicks it onto Hines across the box. Blackstenius won't get there. Holmberg tries to keep it alive. Creates space for the cross. And that punched away well by Eremici. And Sudi, nice combination with Eramadi. Lamari will be forced backwards now. El Hadj round the corner into Lamari. One back in there by Erudani. And Saudi. El Hadj in behind looking for Tagnuit. Smart play there from Lotta Wumoy to let that run in behind. Now Little. Marnham feeded in behind. Here's Ford. Space to work with here for Caitlin Ford. She takes aim. A nice effort. Saved though well by Odamichi. Holmberg, and there's an offside flag up. I think that on Olivia Smith. We may have just gone a little too early in trying to get to the rebound of Ford's shot, or maybe for Ford initially, who does just seem to creep into an offside position.
Yeah, well hit this by Ford. Good save though by Aramici. It's pulled up a couple of good stops now in this second half. Don't think she covered herself in glory in that first 45 minutes, but a couple of good saves to start the second 45.
Ford's just got to make that more difficult. It's too close to her.
Yeah, then as soon as she's got onto that right foot, you know exactly where she's going to try and look to curl that ball into the far corner. Probably needed to be a little bit more unpredictable there.
But even so, if she nails the technique, I mean, you've watched a goalkeeper, right, who has really struggled to adjust, really struggled with shots, and you've floated it, not loads of power, and very close to the body. You've given it a really nice proximity, a good height for her to save it. You know, she's got to open up the body more there and hit the corner, or drill it low and hard. You've seen that be very successful for your teammates.
Yeah.
Kadina. Now Ruben Moy. Tagging out, putting her under pressure. Goes back now into Annika Borba. Ruben Moy, and that's a poor touch, and that's out for a throw-in.
Yeah, Ruben Moy hasn't looked on it tonight. Just a couple of sloppy errors.
Neither centre-backs have. Yeah, Ruben Moy's had problems in possession. Kadina's had problems without the ball. Just gets caught out and then commits a foul and has got away with it so far.
Yeah, Ruben Moy's the stranger one for me because, as you say, Kadina hasn't featured for a while. Hasn't it's her first start in a very long time. But Ruben Moy's been playing pretty consistently. So it's I don't know. Yeah, we've just been a bit inconsistent tonight. Made a few errors.
I think that is just Ruben Moy though. Like, not to be harsh, but she's a decent player, but she has always been, fairly error prone, fairly suspect. We've not really seen her tested defensively this evening either. Here's Kadina playing through the lines, blocked well by Rabbi, who stepped up. Here's El Hadj. Tries to play it down the line. That has stayed on. And Kadina, the first to react, will get there and go back to Borba. Ruben Moy. Little. Under pressure there from Msudi and gives away possession. Little pulls her back and that's a foul. And that will be a free kick to Asfar Rabat. That's far for the first time tonight that Arsenal have been caught in possession, responded by committing a foul to prevent the attack and gotten away with it.
Yeah, again, really good pressure from Asfar. As you say, they've generated quite a few turnovers.
And take the free kick quickly, but the referee not ready. And Sudi there, still holding her nose, slightly concerned after getting caught in the face.
Yeah, well, I like the intent to take it quickly, but the referee hasn't set the free kick up yet and your teammate's still holding her face. I'm not sure that was ever going to be taken quickly.
So now the free kick can be taken. What can Asfar do from this? It's a difficult one because you kind of got to get it up, down, and into an area or just hit the target. But it's quite far out for that. It's just very central to the goal. It's taken short. El Hadj swings it in. Great delivery. Headed away well by the recovering Kim Little. And now caught on the edge of the box are Asfar. Good work, though, to keep it by Erudani. Wide now with Lamari. Lift it into the area. Kadina chests it down on a contested. Erudani. Tagged out. And now it's with El Hadj on this right-hand side. Knocks it back to Benzina, who lifts it wide. Redouani down the line into Tagnut. Wants to take on Wuhan, drives inside. Smith tries to stand her up. Tagnut not happy with her teammates there, not making the options. Ravar plays it forwards. Holmberg does well. Played round the corner into Tagnut. Redouani puts it into the area, headed down by Kadina. And now Kim Little. Hines under pressure from Lamari. Hines still going, runs it out of play. And it's been given as a free kick.
Yeah, just Hines there getting tripped up. But again, another really good, this has been another good spell from Asfar. Playing with intensity, the press is good, keeping Arsenal in their own half, and we're almost 10 minutes through this second half, and again, they're getting through another good passage of this game without conceding.
Yeah. And this was a replay of that Smith goal. And well, we can't find out how many shots they've had, but we know the ball speed.
And the spin rate.
55.
Brilliant.
Miles an hour. A fairly tame shot.
That was as it slowed down. The maximum was 104 kph.
What a weird way to show it.
I know.
Here's where the ball. I thought that was like the max of the game.
And then that's what it did. It did it as it sped up and then slowed down as it went the goal.
It didn't look very quick on. Like, I've seen some venomous strikes in my time. That one didn't look quite as venomous.
Yeah, I feel like you can't just go at any point. It looked fast.
Here's Max Denius. And that poked wide. Freedom arm, sorry, that's a goal kick.
Yeah, again, under a lot of pressure there, Marnham from behind, but probably should do better with this one. Picks up a nice position. As I say, she's under pressure from the defender, but just skews it wide.
I don't know how they measure those. Whether they do like the top speed of the entire shot, whether they do the average speed of the shot. But that was a weird way of doing it, where they showed the final speed of the shot.
Yeah, it went through, went up and down, and then went back down again.
Yeah, because obviously she strikes it, and then it's on the floor, so it's obviously going to take a bit of the pace off of it, because it's not a particularly wet surface tonight, is it? But and then it bobbles a little, so it just takes weight off the ball, or takes pace off the ball, and then it got down to 55. It didn't look a particularly quick shot, and at no point on the actual number did it ever say 100. It said max 104. Oh, did it?
Yeah. And then jumped across and went in goal. I thought it was a weird, Because it sped up after it hit a boot and then it slowed down again as the ball travelled goalwards. Really bizarre way to judge it.
El Hadj. Yeah, it didn't look that quick a shot. Marnham. It was deceptively rapid. Marnham sails onto the ball. Palova nowhere to turn. One back by Lamari. Into Msudi. Kadina stands her up well. Battling away in there, Msudi. Lovely footwork there. The step over out of trouble. Rabar now. Lamari. Msudi tries to do too much there and loses out to Marnham. And Arsenal have numbers forward now. And Frida Marnham's decision making still a problem. And she just doesn't make a decision there and loses the ball.
Yeah.
Lamari. We're approaching a quarter of an hour without conceding again for Asphalt. They've had periods of this game where they've really been able to match Arsenal. And of course, game state plays a huge impact. The fact that they've been able to, Arsenal have the commanding lead. They don't have to keep pushing. But, credit nonetheless that we've seen Asphalt be able to compete a little better in the second half so far. Holmberg now to Smith, who does well. Great chance from Ravar and a free kick to Arsenal. The referee doesn't like advantages. One of the big things, Tessa Olofsson was really good at playing advantage earlier, and it allowed at times Corinthians to come forwards after a couple tactical fouls from Gotham. This referee, I don't think she's played advantage many times at all. She's very quick to give fouls.
She tried to play it there on the first one, I think, and the second one came through. But yeah,
Raval clears it. Ford tries to bring it down, does so well. That strikes the hand. That will be a free kick. Oh, yeah, I don't know if it's a century again. There's just been a foul every few seconds. It feels like
that is true.
Very stop-start.
The other thing I know about FIFA's rule, what frustrates me about FIFA is that they choose to operate on.
We could do an hour long channel on that,
but they refuse to operate around different rules and regulations than everybody else does. The general consensus amongst the English FA and also now in UEFA is that for head injuries, the games immediately stop. But FIFA just play by different rules, and it's so frustrating. I just don't get it.
I guess they put it at the ref's discretion, but
they're just fools, is what they are.
No, I agree. I think though it's difficult in perhaps less well-known leagues. I imagine that there is more corruption, and so players going down on their heads happens more, and there are more stoppages and players trying to play the dark arts. So if the referee stopped every time, that would be a problem. But no, I agree. That is probably a rule that should be widespread, so we don't get concussion leading to brain trauma and stuff like that. Ball in from Holmberg, blocked well, or reduce the impact of that, I should say.
No, good move from Arsenal. It's a great ball through the lines into Holmberg, who has actually had a bit of a quiet evening, I'd say, Smila Holmberg. I thought that when she came on against Aston Villa in the FA Cup, she looked brilliant. But a bit of a quiet night. And here we go. Brilliant rotation from Renee Slagers once again to bring on two.
What is the point?
I don't get it. I really do not get it.
Like, unless Heinz could play 90 on Sunday, and the thought process is that rest Heinz and you can then play 90 against Corinthians. But I doubt it. I think they'll go full strength on Sunday. So what is the point in bringing on McCabe now for 30 minutes?
I do not get it.
Alessia Russo as well. Can't go an Arsenal game without Alessia Russo getting on the pitch. Heinz and Blackstone is withdrawn, McCabe and Russo on.
Yeah. So rotating them and giving them a rest, now they're going to play a pointless half an hour.
But also now there's no way they get all three of the players that I mentioned on, because they've already made 4 subs.
Yeah.
So they'll get one player on. Will they give Harwood her debut?
No, it'll be Chloe Kelly.
Yeah.
It's just ridiculous.
It's pointless is what it is. I don't... they're 4-0 up. Do they need to bring on Russo?
Slagers' rotation and substitutions are the one thing that I think she's really missing from her management at the moment.
Ball in, headed away. Back to McCabe, who hoofs it up into the air. That's headed away again. That blow flicks it over her shoulder. And Redouani will let that run out for a throw. I think there's a lot of skills missing. For Slagers, obviously, a very young manager, very experienced manager. But substitutions and rotation of the squad has been one of them. I guess the reason for that is this isn't her squad. This is Jonas Eideval's squad still. There are, since she's come in, there's only been a handful of signings. And half of them one of them's already left. One of them was the same person twice. Once on loan, once a transfer. And then Olivia Smith. And now Holmberg. So she hasn't made loads of signings, so perhaps that rotation isn't great. But yeah, I don't get the point in bringing on McCabe and Russo when this game's done. Benzina gets back in there. Deals with Alessia Russo. El Hadj. Nice turn from Saeed. Midfielder carrying that ball forwards. Rabah. And now Redouani. Plays it into Msoudi. Well dealt with by Wubben Moy, and Arsenal back on the ball. Little. Now McCabe. Ball across to Lotte Wubben Moy.
And again, still thus far done well in this second half to avoid conceding so far. Still managed to come forwards as well. They've struck a nice balance, I think, in this second half between still looking promising when they do have the ball, but not leaving themselves, so open at the back. Again, of course, Arsenal have slowed things down and have taken the intensity out of their play, but still, it's the positives that Asfar can take away from this game.
Yeah, Ramici out to the right-hand side. Benzina under pressure here from Caitlin Ford. Ford now to McCabe. Palova. Back heel from Marnham. Comes to nothing. And Ramici happy to take her time. And now picks up the ball, waiting for her side to take shape. Ball sent forwards. Kalina gets the header. If Asfar Rabat can go the second half without conceding, that would be an incredible effort.
Yeah.
Now, as much as Arsenal taking their foot off the gas, that would still be a really strong show from the Moroccan side. Ruben Moy.
It's exactly what you say and you think as a side when you go into half time and you're on the end of a bit of a heavy defeat. You come out, you sit there in the dressing room, you go, well, let's go out there in the second half and make sure we win. You win the second half, or you get something from the second half. And as you say, they were to, to put it into basic terms, if they were to draw the second half 0-0, then that would be very promising. If they were to win it, the game finishes 4-1. That'd be pretty decent for them.
Yeah, El Hadj with the throwing on this near side. And it's, as much as it's not the result and the performance perhaps that Asfar would have wanted, they're platforming their team, they're platforming the game for not just Morocco but all of Africa, and hopefully we see the game continue to grow. We've got WAFCON coming up this summer. That's also in Morocco. And the level has grown so quickly in the women's game that teams have been left behind. But it's not like we've got it's not like we're incredibly ahead of countries like Morocco in terms of development, because you look at the National League and say that the Women's National League in England is probably a slightly lower or similar standard to this. The Women's Championship probably only slightly above. So. Here's Frida Marno, an opportunity, takes a, well saved. Russo now bearing in on goal and fires home to get in on the act, pouncing on that loose ball. And Arsenal capitalising on yet more defensive problems for Asfar. Ramici left exposed and Alessia Russo on hand to tuck it home.
Yeah, another good save from the initial effort, but Russo does sort of pick up off the scraps as well to dodge what was a really poor tackle flying in from one of the Asfar defenders and puts it away nicely. Yeah, and does well, fires across goal into the far corner. And Russo, who adding another goal to her collection. Again, she won't mind that. Getting on the score sheet, Arsenal are getting 5. Oof.
Yeah, this has been anything but a semi-final, really, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Showing that golf in quality. At least if there are any Brentford fans at the GTEC Community Stadium tonight, they might have got to see some goals for the first time this season that weren't throw-ins. So that's really exciting stuff for all the people of Brentford. And Arsenal looking to give them another present here as they probe for a 6th. Palova now. Looking to switch the play to the right-hand side. And Asfar trying to come forwards now as they turn the ball over. Msoudi, Lamari. Now it's with Tagnut. Tagnut again. Lamari, Tagnut. Shifts it wide into El Hadj. Back to Tagnut. Flicked by El Hadj and dispossessed by Ford. Palova into Marnham, who carries the ball right to challenge well. Loses out there to Erudani. Benzina, El Hadj. Nice inside from Tagnout. McCabe plays it in behind and Benzina will get there. And now Asfar on the left-hand side. Rava. Redouani. Looking to progress the ball. Erudani under pressure. Goes to Benzina, who's going to be under pressure here from Ford. Plays out of it with no issue. El Hadj. Ball in behind. Looking for Lamari. Good defending from Kadina. And then Ruben Moy goes back to her goalkeeper. Erudani. Wide into Taganu. Taganu. 1-2 with Lamari. Back now to El Hadj. It's a combination in this wide area between the Asfar players, and El Hadj and Taganu upping their pass accuracy in this corner. Benzina. El Hadj knocks it in behind. That's overhit, and that run through the ball.
Yeah, they've enjoyed quite a good portion of the possession in this game as far. Yeah, I mean, as you say, there's not actually that many statistics on it, which is a shame. But for a 5-0 game, they've actually enjoyed quite a bit more of the ball than you'd anticipate. Just Arsenal, whenever they've had it, have always looked dangerous.
Indeed. Msudi. Erudani now. Forced backwards. Rabba. Now Benzina. Back to Bukami. Out to the left-hand side. Flicked on well by Redouani. And Sudi battling away with Ruben Moy. Dean's committed a foul, I think, against the Arsenal centre-back.
Yeah, just a bit too aggressive. But again, I don't mind that. I like the fact that Asfar being aggressive in the press, making it difficult for Arsenal, not allowing them to settle or look comfortable with the ball.
And with 20 minutes to go, Asfar making their first change of the game. Lamari is withdrawn. Yolanda Ganami replacing her. And the manager dictating where he wants them to play. Mohamed Aliua. Benzina lets that run back to her goalkeeper, Aramici. Benzina out now to El Hadj. Knocks it down the line. Good hold up, but unable to keep the ball there. Ruben Moy. Kadina. McCabe goes back inside to Lotta Ruben Moy. Leah Kadina. And now it's Kim Little. Kadina. Options ahead of her. Goes wide into Ford. Hugging the touchline now. What can Caitlin Ford make happen? Little. Back to Leah Kadina. McCabe. Pass forward into Kim Little. Now Pullover. Wider still. Smith. Cuts inside. That's prevented. Now they're looking to come forwards. Turned over well though by Olivia Smith. One back quickly and a foul in there on Olivia Smith apparently.
Not sure about that one.
Not sure there's anything in that from Sudi.
No. Bit unfortunate there. No, it has been a bit of a scrappy game, but I don't think either side have really been at fault for that. I think there's been a lot of soft fouls given, and I think the game could have been allowed just to run a little bit easier and quicker. But there's been a bit stop-start. But Arsenal have another opportunity to cause some problems in the Asfar box, looking for number 6. See if any other players can get in on the act.
And so it's Katie McCabe to put this into the area. Can she pick out a teammate as Arsenal search for a 6th? Floats it in towards the back post, headed down by Kadina. And that bounces up and into the grateful hands of Aramici.
Yeah, not a bad ball in from Katie McCabe. Well met by Kadina, who does well just get in between the two centre halves and jump highest, but can't really get any power behind the effort.
Leandro, welcome back to the streams. Who says, "Vai Corinthians." Go Corinthians. They will be in the final on Sunday. And as it stands, they will face Arsenal. Or, I should say, short of any minor miracle, they will face Arsenal in the game at the Emirates.
Still positives though for Asfar. They'll fancy themselves to give a good account of themselves in the third place playoff versus Gotham, who will want to prove somewhat of a point after not getting knocked out today. By losing today.
Well, it kind of is knocked out. I know they have a third place playoff, but yeah. They were really poor, Gotham, in front of goal. I know they were in pre-season and Angerenberger made that excuse. I don't think that's an excuse for how poor her ability to save the shot was. It wasn't a great shot by any standard by Zanotti. But incredible scenes from Corinthians. They deserve of bringing the most fans.
Yeah.
Arsenal have done a decent number here, but I don't think Corinthians was far off it. And, they've travelled from Brazil. These guys have got a tube.
Yeah.
that's a completely different commitment. Fair play to everyone that's gone tonight, gone to support Arsenal, knowing it's a game where it's going to be fairly comfortable. It's not exactly high stakes, but and I don't take anything away from that. But the fact is, Corinthians travelled incredibly well. So huge shout out to their fan base, and I think that made a difference. And you saw the celebrations after the game. It was incredible. I hope we see a similar sort of fan base. Do they split the Emirates 50-50?
Well, I'm really intrigued to see how many will be at the Emirates on.
Well, no, it's split 50-50, but I imagine there will be a strong black and white contingent in the stands, as we saw today.
But yeah, I hope it's a good attendance on Sunday. I really do. At the end of the day, it is a cup final. It is a trophy on the line. You want to see as many people in the stands as possible.
Kadina. Now Wuben Moy. Kadina. Now McCabe. Kadina. Blackstenius. Into Palova. Ford slips it in behind, looking for the run of Alessia Russo, who managed to shrug off Saeed. Takes aim, and that's a sixth. And that is another goal for Alessia Russo. Drives the ball down the left-hand side. It wasn't too difficult. Asfar struggled to make life difficult for her. But Russo finished it well nonetheless.
Yeah, really good run from Russo. Tidy finish into the bottom corner. Again, I think Asfar would have liked to do a little bit better. Russo, though, coming off the bench, grabbing 2 goals.
And she struggled in that strike position to have that space, have that freedom, thriving tonight. Off the bench in that role. We saw Blackstenius miss a few pretty easy chances, and Russo grabbing some goals in a game where there is that freedom, there is the space, and you can take shots like that, and they go in.
Yeah.
Benjamin says South American teams have always cared most about the Club World Cup. Yeah, I think we'll see they're very similar at the Women's Club World Cup next year. They do care about their teams no matter what game they're playing in. They're incredibly passionate. And Chloe Kelly returning from injury then to replace Olivia Smith, who are going to make at least one sub that is worth it. 15 minutes to see her return to fitness. And that may see her have some involvement as they face her former side next weekend. Arsenal taking on Manchester City, of course. And Rabat is withdrawn. She hands the armband to El Hadj. As Asfar make just their second change of the evening. You said not just a trophy, the largest payout available today. Yeah, I mean, it's of course a huge thing, the £1.7 million, $2 million. It's the most important part of this competition. It's a shame that we see such little money put into the competitions that matter, and so much pumped into this and the World Sevens. I hope it starts to kick UEFA into gear, and I know obviously the WSL are working on increasing that prize money and stuff like that. But yeah, it's the I think again it's similar to that. It's like the championship though. To be fair, the championship playoff final in the men's game is the football match with the biggest prize pot, which is ridiculous, but obviously it does make sense. They don't, the competitions that take all season don't tend to be the ones that are rewarded the most fairly, whereas competitions like this, where it's sponsored by Michelle Kang, do tend to be given a little bit more prize money.
Oh yeah, it's one of those. As you say, you'd love to see the actual World Cup pot or even the qualifying pot being increased and things like that. From the FA's point of view, increasing the prize
FA
money
Cup.
in the FA Cup, especially in the lower rounds for the non-league sides. That would be absolutely massive.
I don't think we're far off parity with the men's game. As much as that sounds ridiculous in some contexts, the men's FA Cup payout is nowhere near as big as it should be.
Yeah,
really, given the level of the competition, that absolutely should be parodied. No, I don't think we're far off that. Thankfully, forward cuts inside, ball into the box, headed away. There's less rounds, of course, so they can adjust for that. But
yeah.
I don't think we're far off. Pullover carries it forwards. Unfortunately, the FA have integrity and principles. Board, and they're not sponsored by Kinsica.
Just you wait. WSL.
Yeah, the WSL brought to you by Michelle Kang. What a waste of time that would be. I'm still stunned it's been allowed. It's just the most. I know it's not. It shouldn't be anymore by any of FIFA's actions, considering how corrupt the organisation is. But how on earth the owner of 3 teams, it's 3 top flight teams, is able to sponsor a FIFA competition, which all 3 of her teams could play in eventually. McCabe cuts it back and Marnham puts that well wide. Is utterly bizarre. How that's not a conflict of interests, I will never know. Offside flag up there on Katie McCabe.
Yeah, Arsenal. I feel like Arsenal actually ramped it up in the last 5-10 minutes. Also, they got themselves, they got themselves a couple of goals, but they seem to be. Someone's fallen asleep there in front of Leah Williamson. They're really enjoying the game.
You said, I think World 7's embarrassed FIFA. I think FIFA embarrassed FIFA continuously every time they do anything. But yes, that is also true. The fact that the biggest prize pot was a private 7-a-side tournament. Marnham carrying the ball forwards. Benzina with an egregious shirt pull and frustration from Marnham there as the referee refuses to play. Advantage.
Yeah, very obvious and deliberate pull, poor pass.
But Marnham had got away from her.
Yeah, Marnham
still had the ball.
Oh dear. Yeah. First yellow card of the game, 81 minutes that's taken. I feel like we could have seen one a lot earlier than that.
Yeah. Ryzen says, World Sevens was so much fun as an audience member. I didn't watch much of it in the end. We planned to stream it and then DAZN put it all on YouTube. So there's no real point to that. But, yeah.
Oh, I was devastated. We missed out. I don't know.
It looked like good fun.
I know some people like
no,
it.
It's not. It suits a certain crowd.
Oh yeah,
and I think that's great. And this is exactly where women's football should go. There should be specific things for different crowds. The problem is when they try and merge it all as one.
Yeah.
Like that's when you see this clash that doesn't quite work.
Yeah, but it's also just a contradictory. Like for the final of World Sevens, I'm watching Sophia Milton Patel come out doing a cartwheel, but it turns out she wins that game. She gets they get millions of pounds. It's ridiculous. You can't have this. It's just a bit of fun. We have everyone's going to walk out. We're going to put some music on. We're going to have a nice chill time. But actually, if you win it, you get loads of money. Those two things they work against each other.
It's a moving boy. Little. I think it's less that. It's more with the other. I think that event was perfect in terms of the audience it served, and I think people enjoyed a more light-hearted take on football. But I think there is also a much bigger audience, I would argue, in women's football who want the game to be taken seriously, professionalised quickly. Here's Marnham now into a good area, and that skewed wildly past the post.
Had a few of those tonight. Frida Marnham could have scored a lot more than she has. Although she has already, has got one, I think she'll be disappointed with herself that she hasn't scored more. But yeah, no, I didn't mind the lightheartedness of it. I just don't think it should be rewarded with such a massive prize pot if that's the way you're going to play it.
People paid to go.
There's not even 11 people on the pitch. Like, that's a different sport.
There was 11 people. 7 aside, 14.
So frustrating.
It's getting little. Slots it in behind. Can Russo get there? Not quite.
Yeah.
And so they look to build out from the back again here as far. Holmberg on the header. Now Little. Palova. Ford. Back to Palova. And now it's with El Hadj. And that ball sent long. But this has been a precursor for what we could see today. Two contrasting ideas of what we could see at the Women's Club World Cup. One is that we could see some great competition across teams from different continents, and one is that there could be a huge disparity. Hopefully, when we get to the final version of whatever that tournament is going to look like, if it happens at all, if it happens in Qatar, I think it'll be the Qatari team that win it because none of the other players will be there.
Yeah.
For obvious reasons.
Alessia Russo's holding her ankle and running around gingerly. You can't make it up. No need for her to come on in this game. And she
doesn't look like she's moving freely, does she?
No. And she looks like she picked up a knock. Absolutely daft from Slagers. And yes, she scored 2 goals, but it looks like Russo might pay the price if it is anything more serious. But yeah, as you say, I really hope they get it right because it'll be frustrating if we're risking player welfare and players' fitness and getting burnt out just for them all to travel to one country and go pump a load of other teams.
But I mean, obviously there'll be still competition in the final stages of it.
Yeah, I know. But you don't. It depends how many games you're going to have. They've got to get it right, and I really hope they do get it right.
I think it's only 16 teams, isn't it?
Okay, that's not too bad. They've got to win me back round after the scheduling of it all. Putting it in January already lost me. They've got to try and win me back round, I think.
Yeah, so directly entering are 2 from the AFC, 2 from CAF, 2 from CONCACAF, and 2 from CONMEBOL, and then 5 from UEFA.
Okay.
There'll also then be an additional 3 teams coming from play-in stage participants, also known as qualifiers.
Play-in stage. Also, why 3? Why on earth would you ever send an odd number?
Because you've got an odd number, so you need it to add up.
But why have they done an odd number in the first? Oh, never mind.
I don't mind the odd number. So 13 teams entering directly. What will be interesting, though, is how these teams are decided. So AFC have Wuhan Jiangda will definitely be there.
Yeah.
But they've only got one other slot for the next 3 Champions League winners. So presumably the next one gets the slot and the next 2 after that have to play... Oh no, because we won't have enough Champions Leagues. We'll see how they do that one then. Asfar have already got 1 guaranteed group stage spot, as have Gotham, as have Corinthians, as have Arsenal. And all we know, the 25-26 CONCACAF Women's Champions Cup winner will be there, as will the 25-26 Women's Champions League winner and the 26-27 Women's Champions League winners. And there'll be 3 other UEFA spots. So it's already guaranteed pretty much then that Chelsea, Barcelona and Lyon will be there.
Yeah.
Based on the fact that it is coefficient rankings.
Yeah.
It will then be, if those teams win the Champions Leagues, it will be the teams below that, so Bayern and Wolfsburg.
Yeah.
Or if some surprises win the Champions League, they'll be entered. But yeah. Pass forward. Cut out now. Asfar trying to bring it forwards. Just trying to find a consolation in this game. Picked off by McCabe, though. Here's Caitlin Ford down the left-hand side. Who finds Russo. Nice turn from Alessia Russo. Creates the space now, running in behind. And that is good defending. to prevent her from El Hadj. Just getting around Alessia Russo and winning back the ball cleanly in the box. Palova. Marlon touched it back to Kelly. And that is an incredibly poor shot as it skews off wide.
Yeah, didn't quite catch that nicely. But Russo, a moment ago, would have probably liked to get a hat-trick in this one. Players all over it, and just couldn't get the shot away. But Arsenal hunting for a 7th in a one-sided semi-final.
Yeah, that's putting it nicely.
Yeah.
Ball clip to the left-hand side, touchdown to Eridani, and that is a poor pass, to say the least, out for an Arsenal corner.
Very wayward. I think Asfar probably just starting to struggle.
Taking it quickly here before either side's even got back in, and that's cleared away by Benzina, and they'll have to take more time about the corner, but there's an offside flag. I think the corner was taken without anyone actually in the penalty area, meaning it was offside. Taken short, and nobody had dropped deep yet, I'm guessing.
I'm not sure about that one. They're definitely pitting the box, but maybe.
I'm guessing.
I think that's what she's giving it for. I think it's wrong. I think she's wrong.
Ooh, full control in there. Arsenal looking to capitalise. Little into Kelly, who tries to break into the penalty area. Struggles though. There's one back in there by Benzina, who passes out. And it's one back by Wuhan Moy. McCabe back across to Lotte Wuhan Moy. Two minutes of additional time in this match. Can Asfar find a consolation goal, or will Arsenal see out the 6? Could Arsenal find a 7th?
They're just tired, haven't they? Asfar had some good spells, but they started too slowly, and then the last 15-20 minutes have really fallen away. But in between all that, they had some really good passages.
So the subs came on. I don't really know why they've only made 2 subs. That probably hasn't helped.
True,
and Arsenal have used their entire 5 substitution allocation. Palova managed to wriggle through the midfield. One back in there, and the referee gives a free kick.
Yeah, you think you would have seen more changes, especially when you brought the whole squad over here. Massive opportunity for the players and a great experience. You think you give more players a go?
Maybe they'll rotate a bit more on Sunday.
Potentially.
Against Gotham, but yeah, you'd think you'd give players the opportunity to play at the G-Tech.
It wouldn't hurt, would it? You know, you're already 6-0 down. What's the worst that's going to happen? You can see another one. Yes, there'll be, I think, 6, being 4 down at half time, 6 is okay, of course. I think...
They've wanted to keep it a bit more respectable. Yeah. I think especially the manner of the goals conceded. It wasn't like Arsenal playing it around like Brazil or scoring brilliant goals. They were all defensive errors, and I feel that's where there'll be a bit of frustration, I think.
Oh, yeah. I mean, 2-0 down after 11 minutes is just not good. Everything's gone out the window at that point. You've got to try and hang in there for a bit longer.
Okay, clips it in. It's cleared away. Not far enough, though. Adam Sudi will go and chase the ball to the corner. Knocks it forwards. We cross over the 2 minutes of additional time, and the referee quick to call an end to this contest. Arsenal, no issues tonight as they brush aside Asfar. 6 goals without reply. A brace from Russo off the bench, adding to the first half contributions of Blackstenius, Marlon, Caldente and Olivia Smith. And Arsenal, wow, they've soared through into the final. It's, incredibly easy game. I think when you look at how difficult Gotham found it against Corinthians, I think it will be much more difficult on Sunday. But getting through this match, against Asfar, a side that were well off the standard, really, and Arsenal into the final of the inaugural FIFA Women's Champions Cup.
Yeah, they'll be very happy. Exactly what they expected. Use their quality took advantage of Asfar errors and, took a very convincing victory. But as you say, I'd expect there to be a bit more of a challenge on Sunday from Corinthians. Should be a very exciting final, and we'll find out the first winner of the FIFA Women's Champions Cup ever. Arsenal will back themselves to put their name on it, but as you say, I think Corinthians today proved that they've got the quality and they can definitely cause some problems for the European champions. But fair play to Asfar. They did well to get here. They showed some good passages, but on the whole, too many errors, and that quality did just... You could see the golfing quality between the two sides. Credit to them for getting here and putting on a decent performance, but at the end of the day, Arsenal a lot stronger.
Yeah, I mean, if anything personifies how comfortable that was, Caroline Tay looks like she just got out of the shower.
Yeah,
She's off.
Yeah.
She's done for the night, job done, fairly easy win. That was not difficult for Arsenal. Just trying to compare the attendances. Arsenal 8,066 in attendance for this match. Not bad at all. Apparently, Gotham at Corinthians wasn't good enough for FIFA. They haven't bothered putting attendance on there, which sums that one up. But yeah, user says, well, no goals to talk about, but experience improvement for Asfar. Absolutely, nice occasion, even if the result was somewhat embarrassing. They'd have wanted to give a better account of themselves, but they were just not good enough defensively, and they just couldn't feed their attacking players enough. At times, they looked really good in the final third, but decision-making was a struggle, and ultimately the side with the £1 million superstars came out on top. Not the game that Asfar would have wanted. They get another chance on Sunday to earn a little bit of prize money and to prove themselves against one of the top teams in the world. And Arsenal get an opportunity in the final to claim some silverware, and then they will call themselves world champions, which will be great fun. But yeah, that is everything from us today. Thank you guys very much for watching. We'll be back on Sunday with a triple header. Can't wait for that one. Double sell action in the morning as Man United take on Liverpool, and the big one, Chelsea facing City, first versus second in the WSL. And then we'll watch Arsenal in the evening take on Corinthians in that final. Will Arsenal become the inaugural FIFA Women's Champions Cup winners and really give themselves a boost going into the Club World Cup in a few years' time? That was everything. Thank you guys very much for watching, and we'll see you next time.